Before I look at the religious landscape in South Asia, I just want to start by saying that wherever state authority or authorities attempt to enforce religious unity, certain minority groups are perceived as politically subversive and are therefore excluded from the mainstream society. And this always leads to intolerance of differences, discrimination, and violations of human rights. That's how we start with looking at the issue of the impacts of state recognition of religion on human rights in South Asia. So the religious landscape in South Asia, I found it quite interesting because from outside, it appears that South Asia might be or may be religiously diverse, but the two tables that you can see from slide shows that countries in South Asia range from very religiously diverse countries like Singapore and Vietnam to very religiously uniform, such as Cambodia and Timor-Leste. So this is how it looks like. Another thing which is also important about religious landscape in South Asia, that there are three religions are clearly predominant. Islam is the state religion in Brunei, Darussalam, and Malaysia, while the great majority of Indonesians profess Islam. Buddhism is the religion officially recognized by Cambodia and Myanmar and given special status in Thailand. Catholicism or Christianity is predominant in the Philippines and Timor-Leste. Singapore might be the only country in South Asia which is acknowledged as a country with well-managed ethnic and religious diversity. Yet, from time to time, we see the tensions between various religious groups emerge in the country. Well, in my study, I focus on 4 countries, but for this particular policy brief, I'll be just looking at 2 countries, Thailand and Myanmar. And first, Thailand. As we all know, Thailand does not recognize any official religion. However, all constitutions of Thailand, including 2017 constitution, stipulate that the king is a Buddhist and upholders of religions. This particular provision is important because, as you know, in Thailand, the monarchy is considered as the highest, institution. So when the constitution says that the king has to be a Buddhist or uphold Buddhism, then, and especially considering the fact that majority of the Thai population also adhere to Buddhism, then Buddhism is somehow privileged, in the country. What happened in the case of Myanmar? As we know that Myanmar, again, although it does not recognize Buddhism as a formal state religion, but a provision in the constitution recognizes what they call special position of Buddhism as the faith professed by the great majority of the citizens of the Union. And the recognition of religion, especially by constitution or law, could be, as I mentioned at the very beginning, problematic if such recognition aimed to cement national identity linked to any particular religion. As I said, in the case of Thailand and Myanmar, the constitution does not recognize or officially recognize any particular religion as state religion, but it privileged a particular religion. In the case of Myanmar, as I mentioned, that Buddhism is the religion professed by majority, and we have learned sexual violence in Myanmar. As we know, Myanmar has been suffering from a rather complex web of ethnic and religious conflicts since independence. Buddhism nationalism, which in the past fought for freedom from British colonizers, is now rising to fight against any perceived threat to Buddhism. So, imposition of a Burman Buddhist identity on an ethnically and religiously diverse country has been one of the drivers of the ongoing conflicts, in the country, including those in Rakhine and Kachin states. As you see that the whole world witnessed the suffering of Rohingya, racially different and minority Muslim in a majority Buddhist country. And we all know as well that Buddhist nationalism has emerged as a considerable political and social issue in Myanmar. As for Thailand, we heard about the conflicts in deep south of the country. In fact, the conflicts in southern Thailand are quite complex and they result from a combination of causes, but one of which stems from long-running strained relations between the nation-state and the minority population. Violence involves relations between the nation-state and the Malay Muslim minority in a Buddhist majority country like Thailand. In the three provinces in southern Thailand, deep south, roughly 80% of Thailand's Muslim population is concentrated there, with around 20% of non-Muslim population. And this religious cleavage is mirrored by an ethnic divided as Muslim in the conflict region are ethnically Malay. The two distinct categories of ethnic and religious identity are viewed as inseparable and interchangeable by the majority of the local population. Because for the Malay of Patani, Malayness and Islam are virtually indistinguishable. Malayness and Thainess are further distinguished by language. As I think we all know, Thai in Thailand, Thai is the official and national language, but it's not spoken by majority of Malay Muslim. So they only speak a local dialect, Bahasa Melayu or Yawi. So the interplay, the manipulation of the ethnic Malay and Thai identity on the one hand, and the religious Islamic and Buddhist identity on the other, are actually the key factors that explain the change in the characters of the unrest in southern Thailand.